on fire.
He was.
The Raiders did lose, but he threw for 226 yards, 2 total touchdowns. And after the game, he reflected on finally getting back out on the field.
To be truthful, it's been a long journey. I've been through kind of everything, from injuries to surgeries to, mental kind of just lapses and, the confidence thing. And, I just truly appreciate the Raiders and the entire organization for kind of helping me through that.
He was so good in that short little window that, like, social media was talking about where he's going to end up.
Well,
the starting quarterback next year.
Now, I've got a real strong opinion on this later in the show. I'm going to do a Marcus Mariota segment later in the show. But I will say this. He's always been big and fast.
Yeah.
There's an electricity to the way he plays. And I do believe last night that general managers around the league saw him and thought, in a pinch, we can make him a franchise guy for 2 years.
Right. But the key to that sentence was in a pinch and for a few years. So we like to overreact to fun. Right?
Well, Joy, it was a standalone NFL game.
Exactly.
This is what we do. And so we go nuts. And I do think he has starter talent.
Well, he does.
He's always had that.
Plenty of starting experience.
And he's a good dude. People in the league like him. I know. I have a friend of a friend and he's a good dude.
To me, and listen, they still lost. So let's keep it all in perspective.
Right.
But I do think what he showed is how valuable it can be to have a good backup quarterback.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the backup quarterback position, and I don't know why we didn't kind of always subscribe to this, is extremely valuable.
He is the most talented backup quarterback in the NFL.
Yes.
He is significantly more talented as a quarterback than Taysom Hill, who everybody's into now.
And I mean, the Saints are a good example of how important it is to have to invest in a valuable backup quarterback. If you're a team that is competing for championships, you should have a great backup quarterback. I wish the Steelers had invested in a strong backup quarterback.
I had somebody else tell me 2 nights ago, Sam Darnold, Pittsburgh, keep your eye on it. They said, like, they can't go from Ben to what they have. They probably need to get a kid that if he has to start 2 games, can win 1.
I don't understand why they didn't do it this offseason. They were in the playoff conversation last year with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges.
Yeah.
You should have learned the lesson then that you should have a strong backup quarterback.
And the backup should play a little bit like your starter.
Yeah.
And Darnold is kind of an athlete, an ad-libber, and so is Ben. Your backup should look a little and play a little like RG3 and Lamar.
Yes.
They should be a little like each other. You don't have to change your offensive system with a backup.
I was happy for Marcus Mariota, though. Like, it was really fun to watch.
You could tell, Joy, from his body language, he was so thankful to play football.
Yeah.
He was having so much fun playing football.
And he had a little confidence, a little swag. Like, he doesn't usually play like that. So Jalen Hurts took over the Eagles' starting job last week and led the team to a big win over the Saints, and he'll get his second start this week against the Cardinals. This is a sneaky good game this weekend. And Doug Pederson revealed how he's seen Carson Wentz help the rookie even after getting benched.
I just see the communication, number one, at practice, during games, just the communication, the dialogue back and forth, obviously through press, through myself, just that communication. And that's the one gauge that tends to lead, things in the right direction. And that's what I've been seeing.
Hurts has also said that Wentz has been, quote, very supportive.
On the sidelines, he looks like he is.
I think, I had to think about it a little bit when I read this story. What kind of person wouldn't be supportive? Now, I understand privately you might feel some type of way.
Oh, there's a lot of guys are different. You women are more supportive. Women support women. Guys don't support guys.
Okay, but what kind of teammate are you if the second that you aren't out there, you're trying to sabotage the most important guy on the field?
Well, you've gone to sabotage. I would say there's a difference between sabotaging.
Okay, but if say Jalen Hurts has like a question in the quarterback room, right? And Wentz, maybe there's no such thing as like the answer, but Wentz knows what to do in that situation or whatever, or it's on the sideline and whatever, like in the heat of the game. And Wentz is like, well, I know what to tell him what to do, but I got benched, so I'm not going to help him.
Hey, listen,
like, that hurts your team.
Listen, Westbrook and Harden are great friends. They couldn't work together because they weren't helping. They weren't sabotaging it. But it's amazing when you get into guys that are in the prime of their career, guys, and a lot of times very professionally driven. I wouldn't say sabotage, but I wouldn't say they're got your back either.
I don't know. I guess, listen, I'm a very petty person, but if in the end it's going to hurt the whole collective for me not to contribute, then I'm going to do that. Like, things change very quickly.
Oh, that's the golden rule in life.
So
everything changes in life every 6 months. Hopefully not your marriage, but everything else changes.
I mean, change is the only guarantee in life.
That's right.
So if you're not aware that things could flip on to you like that, like, I don't know. I'm sure it happens. It's just, I'm glad that he's doing it. I'll say that. Yeah. And I'm not surprised because that seems to be his personality.
Herdline News.
Senior NFL reporter for Monday Morning Quarterback, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Albert Breer, as connected as anybody who does this for a living. So, I was saying when Andrew Luck, when you get a great quarterback, Albert, it creates clarity. Like with Andrew Luck, you knew if he wasn't winning or scoring, you got the wrong coach, the wrong coordinator, or wrong offensive line or GM. I feel that with Herbert, that he makes the game look so easy. It should not look this easy. It didn't look this easy for Tua, for Burrow, for Josh Allen. So the question becomes, they're not winning enough. Does it fall on Anthony Lynn? Will they get a new coach?
I think so. I don't think it's going to happen until the day after the season. If you look at the Spanos' history, they've always liked to take their time on this and make those sorts of decisions with a full season to assess things. It happened that way with Norv Turner. It happened that way with Mike McCoy. And my expectation is going to happen that way again with Anthony Lynn. They're going to take the full season in and then make a decision. But I do think they'll move on. And Colin, it's like you said, like they're going to be moving into a critical time for the franchise. That is a golden opportunity that they're going to have in front of them to build around a quarterback of this level on a rookie contract. We saw how the Rams, the Chiefs, the Eagles took advantage of that sort of dynamic in recent years. So this becomes a very attractive job for whoever the next guy is. And so I think that they're going to hire somebody that's got quarterback background. And some of the names I've already heard are interesting ones. Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels, Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll. How about this nugget, Colin? He went to high school with the GM of the Chargers, Tom Telesco. And then Panthers offensive coordinator Joe Brady's another name that's got some low-level buzz for that Charger job. Obviously, he's done a great job the last couple of years with quarterbacks, with Joe Burrow last year at LSU. And then, of course, this year with Teddy Bridgewater.
By the way, I don't know if it would happen. I think Mike Zimmer's a really good coach. If it went sideways, my first choice would be Mike Zimmer of the Vikings. We have a history in this league. Star quarterback, defensive coach.
Yeah. That's true.
We do. Have you heard anything on Mike Zimmer? Because I think he's a good coach, but I think he's intense. Some people think he's stubborn. He hasn't won enough. Would Minnesota make a mistake and get rid of him?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that was on the table at the end of last year.
Yes.
I'm told the extensions that he and Rick Spielman got in Minnesota, the general manager there, those are real extensions.
Okay.
And Zimmer's making north of $8 million, and he's under contract for the next few years.
Okay.
So in these conditions, Minnesota would have to swallow a lot of cash to get rid of Mike Zimmer. My expectation is that Mike Zimmer is going to survive there and get another year. This is obviously a little bit of a turning the page year, and they have made some progress with some of the young players. There are some young pieces in place now, guys like Justin Jefferson and Jeff Gladney. So my expectation is that Mike Zimmer is going to survive there.
I want to say this about Gruden. I know John and I like him, but Brian Billick and him are both offensive guys. They both win a Super Bowl, but Billick doesn't have the big star personality. Gruden does, and he leverages TV stardom into another job. Once again, his team, and this happened in Tampa. It's happened now a couple years. They're bad. They deteriorate. That is generally not the sign of great coaching in the NFL. Is it possible with Gruden he's more media maven than football guru, and that he's okay, but we've overstated his brilliance?
I think he's still a good football coach, Colin. I think the question with him going back 15 years has been handling personnel, developing young players. Like if you look, like he had older teams in Oakland the first time around. And then with Tampa, the one he won the Super Bowl with was a very veteran team. He took over from Tony Dungy. Where he's struggled in the past is identifying and developing young talent. And that's what's so interesting about this time around with the Raiders, and that's what they went all in on. They piled up assets. They traded away Khalil Mack. They traded away Amari Cooper, and they really went all in on going young. And so they've got a very young defensive group now. They've got some youth on the offense. And now it's on John Gruden to develop that talent and maximize that young talent. And again, it's a very different looking roster than what he won with when he was at his peak back 20 years ago. And so that's what's so interesting about it. I think that's what the Raiders really have to assess now too, is what sort of job is he doing, developing and getting that young talent in a position to win. And again, I don't think he's in any sort of jeopardy right now. This was Mark Davis's white whale.
Oh, yeah.
Landing him. And the contract is prohibitive, I think, to have to move on from him after this year, especially in these conditions with the pandemic. But I think the questions that you're asking, there are real questions that go back beyond just this tenure with the Raiders.
So the Taysom Hill Drew